Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Johnson, Chair Serino, Ranking Member Williams, and members of the Ohio Senate Workforce and Higher Education Committee. I'm Ryan Day, head coach for the Ohio State University football team. Athletic Director Gene Smith was prepared to appear last week before this committee. However, committee was rescheduled for today. Unfortunately, Gene was unable to attend today's hearing, so I'll be testifying in his place. I appreciate the opportunity to present proponent testimony to the committee on SB 187, the Name, Image, and Likeness Bill. Gene Smith had the privilege in 2019 of co-chairing the NCAA State, Federal, and Legislative Working Group along with Val Ackerman, Big East Commissioner, and his commitment to enabling student athletes to have this opportunity has been unwavering. We're grateful to Senator Antoni for his work on this issue. The legislation will enable post-secondary student athletes at higher education institutions across Ohio to monetize their name, image, and likeness. Ohio State Department of Athletics is one of the nation's most comprehensive and most successful athletic programs. The department sponsors 36 fully funded varsity sports with more than 1,000 student athletes competing for Big Ten Conference and NCAA championships. Approximately 70% of these student athletes are on some form of athletic scholarship or aid, but the overwhelming majority of these are not on full scholarship. They're on partial scholarship. And approximately 30% of the student athletes do not receive athletic aid. A bit of background of information is useful for those who are unfamiliar with the issues surrounding name, image, and likeness. NIL is simply allowing student athletes to receive payment for their name, their image, and their likeness via endorsement opportunities. Some examples would be product advertisement or endorsements via traditional or social media. The NCAA has been discussing this topic for many years, and I'm hopeful the NCAA Council will vote on its pending proposal before July to clarify that student athletes are permitted to benefit from NIL. However, the preferred solution would be enactment of federal legislation by Congress that would uniformly apply to the entire country. As of today, many federal bills have been introduced, but it does not appear likely that any of them will become law before the first state laws go into effect in name, image, and likeness in July. As of June, 7 states have laws that go into effect on or before July 1st, allowing student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Mexico, and Oklahoma are a few of them. In addition, Arizona has a law that goes into effect later in July. Other states that will enact laws include Arkansas, Tennessee, Nevada, South Carolina, the state up north, California, Colorado, Montana, Maryland, and New Jersey. Those laws have effective dates ranging from early 2022 through 2025, but proposals have been introduced in some states to move their effective dates forward. The race is on to July 1st, 2021. In addition to these 18 states with enacted laws, legislation is pending in many other states. For the benefit of Ohio student athletes in all NCAA divisions, the state needs to enact a measure allowing student athletes within our borders to benefit in the same manner as athletes in other parts of the country. Our athletes should, and under this proposal will, be able to receive financial benefits from the name, image, and likeness without jeopardizing their amateur and/or student athlete status. If state legislation is not enacted, higher education institutions in Ohio will likely struggle to attract student athletes who will suddenly have the opportunity to better capitalize on their name, image, and likeness at an out-of-state institution. At Ohio State, we just unveiled the Platform, which is an educational program that will provide unique opportunity for student athletes to maximize their brand and exposure. The program will include live consultation sessions with industry leaders and information about brand building, monetization, and financial literacy. It's important to remember that most student athletes do not receive full scholarships. NIL legislation will help student athletes generate income for necessary expenses at colleges and universities across Ohio. SB 187 specifies that no state institution of higher education shall prevent a student athlete from being able to benefit from his or her name, image, and likeness. The bill also specifies that institutions may not pay athletes for their name, image, and likeness, and that athletic scholarships are not NIL payments. SB 187 ensures students who choose to do so may obtain professional representation with regards to being compensated for their name, image, and likeness. The bill provides further guidance on how institutions and students can prevent contractual conflicts as well. Again, I suggest federal legislation would need to be adopted on the NIL issue to allow for fair and uniform name, image, and likeness opportunities for America's student athletes. However, Until that occurs, Ohio student athletes cannot be left behind. We were hopeful that federal law and NCAA actions would make state legislation in Ohio unnecessary, but it is now clear that enactment of this state legislation will be necessary to keep our state and keep our athletes on a level playing field. Swift passage of SB 187 include the emergency clause that allows the bill to go into effect on July 1st. It is an excellent step towards fairness for our student athletes, and I respectfully ask for your favorable consideration of SB 187. I thank you very much for the opportunity to testify, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions.
You're very welcome. Questions for Coach Day? Senator McCauley.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Quick question. Obviously, you played you played college sports, and you've been around the game for quite some time. You coached in professional sports. Have you always felt like this was the right thing to do, or has this been something that, as you've seen the college game evolve, that you feel like it's something that is the right step for this point in time?
Sure. Chairman Johnson, Senator, I think that it has evolved over time, and I think that there was a time certainly when I played where I felt like I played at a 1AA school, which is very different than Ohio State, and we had certainly people who would come to the games, and that was a different situation than I think certainly it is today with TV and a lot of the things that happen. And because of that, and because of the opportunities that we can provide for our student athletes when they come to Ohio State or any of the universities in Ohio, it then allows them to put some money in their pocket, allows them to feel like what they're doing and the work that they're putting in is relevant, and they're being afforded an opportunity to then, as they move away from the university, have something as they walk away. And I think that that's critically important for a lot of our families and a lot of the student athletes that we coach.
Please.
Thank you, Chairman. So you touched on the opportunities, kind of a two-part question, because you touched on some of the other states that have enacted this. And I appreciate that you're still calling it that state up north as a third-generation OSU alum myself. How do you foresee this playing out in recruiting if we were not to have something like this? How much more difficult would it make it on your end? And then how does this play out, maybe not necessarily for the starting quarterback or whoever that may be, but how does it play out for some of the other guys that may not get as much attention? What kind of opportunities do you foresee for them, anecdotally or otherwise?
Yeah. Chairman Johnson, Senator, I think the first part of your question in recruiting, it would really severely damage us in recruiting moving forward. We're in June right now, and we're having many families and recruits come through, and for us to be in a situation where they could go to another state, another institution, and have the opportunity to make money off their name, image, and likeness, but not do that in the state of Ohio, would put us at a severe disadvantage that would have effects for a long time forward. The second part of your question, again, not just for maybe the high-profile guys, is, right now, if there's somebody who has a certain talent and they want to put it on social media or on YouTube, they want to go make certain money off of their name, their image, or their likeness, even outside of football, they're not allowed to do that. And the opportunity that collegiate athletics provides them, and the profile and part of the work that they put in to have this opportunity, they have certain skills, they have certain things that during their collegiate experience, they're not allowed to make any money on that. And so while certainly there will be the quarterback and the running back and the wide receiver who have endorsement deals, there's also the other part, the linemen and some of the other guys that maybe aren't the high-profile guys that'll still be allowed to start using their brand and using some of their skills to create their life after football and after collegiate athletics.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming in today. We appreciate. Pardon? Yes.
Just a comment. I just wanted to say that I see you so much on TV. I thought I knew you when I walked in. And that's why I started waving. I was like.
There you go.
I just wanted to add, I appreciate you guys because this means a lot to us. It means a lot to the the families and the players and the student athletes, and moving forward, certainly for the state of Ohio. So thank you.